Good morning and welcome to Rosendale, Wisconsin. I'm not going to even bother saying Pickett because this is actually Pickett, but the weather widget says Rosendale. So to avoid confusion, I'm just going to say Rosendale. It is Saturday, April 25th, and it is a beautiful, beautiful day to run engines. It is a little chilly. I think the weather widget just said it was like 45 degrees, and it feels every bit of that. But nevertheless, we're going to run two engines today. Not three, two, in a little Sport 40 comparison shootout. So the first engine on this side is my Thunder Tiger GP42, an engine which I tried to run last year but had some issues with the high-speed needle or the fuel inlet nipple breaking, and I had some assistance from other people that sent me parts to get this engine running. On the other side of the stand is a Tower Hobbies 40 engine, which is basically the same thing as the GP40, as the OS40 FP series. They're both bush bearing engines. This is an engine that was sent to me from Chris from Perky Plays RC YouTube channel, one of 3 engines he sent to me, and I figured if I'm going to run that engine, I might as well run this engine because they're very similar in construction, displacement, and maybe even age. So what I'm going to be doing here is they're both going to be running OS number 8 glow plugs. They're both going to be starting at least the first time off with a 10.6 APC prop. Now, believe it or not, out of all the props I've got, I can only find one 10.6 APC prop. How that happens, I don't know. There's actually another one I've got, but it's a really, really old, like an original APC, and it's got a weird profile, and I'm a little sketchy on running that. That's why this engine doesn't have a prop on it at this time. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to run this engine first, and then I'm probably going to swap all of this stuff over to the Tower Hobbies. Now the reason I've got a starting or a spinner on this is because this engine just has really high compression, and my starter wouldn't start it, you know, without a spinner, and hopefully it'll want to do it with the spinner on there because that's really got a lot of compression. So when I'm done with this run, I'm going to move probably the spinner and everything over to the Tower Hobbies 40 and do the same run. So I've got OS number 8 glow plugs, APC 10.6 prop, and I'm going to be using Morgan's Cool Power 10% fuel, both of them. Both tanks have 10% fuel. Now, so the other thing is, if I get so inclined, I might put another prop on these engines. And the only other I've got, out of all the strange prop sizes I've got, and I don't buy these, they just come to me somehow, I've got 11.5 APC 11.5s. Now unfortunately the 11.5 wouldn't fit in the spinner, so I'm hoping that running this engine will loosen this up enough so that I can start it without the spinner on there, and maybe we can do some runs with the 11.5 also. In theory, 11.5 should be roughly equivalent to a 10.6, but anyway, so that's our run for today, and I'm probably only going to do one summary conclusion at the end of both runs. So let's just get to running these engines. Okay, let's see how this thing takes a prime. And I'm hoping that I set the air bleed screw already because I can't see it now. So I'm hoping that's set. And I'm pretty sure I've got these high-speed screws turned open about 2 full turns. Let me look. There's 1, 2, we'll start it there and see how that does. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Too lean. I don't know how many runs this engine's had on it, if it's new or what. Feels like it got pretty hot. Looks new. Open that up another half turn. Okay, so it does have a throttle stop screw. Okay, so I think this engine may be new and it may just require some break-in, so now I'm not so sure about being able to do a comparison. And the same thing with Chris's engine. It only has, he said maybe 2 runs on it. Now the thing I'm noticing here is it's starting to spit out a bunch of black gunk here, which is somewhat typical of lower quality engines, I guess you could say, or because I've heard a friend of mine say he's had a lot of his ASPs do that when they're brand new. So this is not good, really, in my opinion, but okay, it does not want to idle, which is, and it's not even close to being closed, which is indicative of an engine that hasn't been broken in. So this is an ABC or ABN style engine, so I'm just going to run it some more here, and maybe we're not going to have a comparison other than to just have 2 engine runs. So about 4,000, and it says, no, I'm not idling any lower than that. It does feel like it's loosening up some. Kind of a cool little engine though. I don't know how much longer I'm going to run it here. If I should maybe just let it cool down. I'll fire it up again here real quick. wonder if I don't have my air bleed screw set at all. I have to check that. All I know is it's running really well at high end, that's for sure. Really nice. It's a nice little engine. Yeah, this engine just really needs some little bit of break in here. Okay, I think we're going to call that a good run and move on to the other. Oops, I'm going to unplug it like this. Move on to the Tower Hobbies 40 engine. Okay, so this is the Tower Hobbies 40 engine, and it feels rather stiff too. Now, unfortunately, my Ron Sexton, or my push rod linkage here, isn't long enough to reach my throttle thing there, so I'm going to have to do this one the old-fashioned way. Now it seems like it's loosening up a little bit. Maybe it was just the bearing, the bushed bearing in there was a little gummed up. Is it possible I flooded it? Yeah, let's see. Possibly I flooded the engine. It's hard to tell how much prime these things like at times. Let's clear the prime now. So both of these engines have angled needle valves, and I really had to mess with this one to get it such that the inlet was facing back this way, yet not interfering and pinching this. So I don't know if I'm just going to fire it up now. Let's see. Let's just see what happens here with no prime. so maybe, just maybe, I've got that high-speed needle open too much. I'm going to close it a half a turn. Okay, there's a little bit of fuel in there. Getting about the same result as with the Thunder Tiger. This one definitely sounds louder, like that Thunder Tiger has a baffle in the exhaust. And I know this one doesn't because I had to take it apart to rotate the outlet. I think what I'm going to do here is, that seems rich at the low speed. I'm going to see if I have a screwdriver that will enable me to close and or lean at low speed, just a air bleed, just a hair. We'll see if that helps at all. This thing seems like it's transitioning better than the Thunder Tiger. Neither of them likes this low speed setting I've got. At least this one I can rotate by hand. I went the wrong way on that air bleed. To lean it, I need to open it more. So let's open it some more and see. That was my mistake there. It is rather dry conditions here. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to say about those idles. That's a pretty nice little running engine. What do I want to do here? I think I want to just end this run now and maybe see if these things are loosened up enough that they'll turn over without a spinner and I can put those 11.5 props on them. Okay, so that concludes the run of these two engines side by side, the little Sport 40 Shootout. Now, granted, I know it wasn't the most exciting thing because both of these engines are very low time. This Thunder Tiger really needs some more run-in time. I did put the 11.5 prop on here, tried to hand start it a couple times, but I'm not going to sit there and risk my body by hand starting this thing. For whatever reason, this thing is just really tight, or it's got a lot of compression, and it really needs a spinner on it for my normal starter and 12-volt battery to turn it over. So I don't know if it's just a higher compression engine or what, but anyway, so both of these engines ran quite well. Obviously it's very no humidity at all here. It's very dry, so the air bleed, both are air bleed screws. Both are very dependent upon relative humidity as far as how the settings are. I didn't know how I had this one set because I forgot to check it. This one I had set on the Tower Hobbies 40. I had set prior to coming out and it ran a lot better. But being that the holes in these air bleeds are really small, it's hard to see how much coverage you've got. But clearly this Thunder Tiger engine, in my opinion, is the nicer engine. It's got some quirks, but it seemed quieter. And it seemed like it would generate more peak RPM, but it's also a little bit larger displacement too. But I mean, both very fine little engines. Not a bad run. I hope you enjoyed watching.